Bow weep, grana weep, nitty bung, everybody. I'm Engineer Hoist. So, that new Bumblebee movie is coming out this weekend. By all accounts, it's fantastic. I personally can't wait to go see it. I may not be there opening day, but I'll definitely be there before the weekend is out. With that, I was walking through my Target the other day and came across this 2-pack of Studio Series Bumblebees. This is 24 and 25, inspired by the Bumblebee movie with the Volkswagen alt mode, and also by the last night with that souped up Camaro alt mode. So, how about we get over to that review desk and check them out? Alright, so here we are at the review desk. We've got them out of their package and in their alt modes. We've got the Bumblebee movie inspired Volkswagen Beetle, and we've got the Transformers The Last Night inspired concept Camaro, or whatever they called it. As you can tell, this one is, even though this is Studio Series 24 and 25, there was a Studio Series 18 that came out with the Volkswagen Beetle mode, but with this particular one, this is a little different because it has a different paint job. It's got more of the, I don't know what you want to call it, rust or dirt. Looks like maybe he's been to the beach already with Charlie. So it's not so much of a spoiler because that was actually in the trailers where we saw them on the beach. So, but I think it's meant to be rust, but yeah, you can be whatever that you want. But that's pretty much, I think, the only difference between this one, 24, and the 18. But otherwise, I think they look pretty good. Now, if you wanted to have the full evolution, now even though this wasn't called an evolution set, it's kind of what it is. If you want to have the full evolution, you got to have the Beetle. You got to have the concept Camaro, but you also got to bring in Studio Series 1, which is the original movie old style Camaro that he was in the very first movie. So that there is the full evolution of Bumblebee in the Transformers movies as far as movie chronologically. Obviously, this one came first, and then that one, and then that one. But from the time frame, 1987, we saw this in 2007. So sometime in between there, he took this form, if you want to consider it all in the same continuity. I know there's different opinions on that. And then, of course, we ended up here with a couple more in between. And but I'm going to try to keep this video a little short, so we're not going to go through all those. But these are the Studio Series versions of Bumblebee that I'm aware of. And so there we go. We'll go ahead and get this guy out of the way since we're not really here to talk about that guy. We're here to talk about these guys. And let's go ahead and get into transformation on him. We'll even move the other one out of the way for now. So, what do we want to do here? Well, like all Bumblebee movies, or movie figures basically, you start by opening up his door wings there, and you can see on this one it basically pulls out the whole side of the bug. And then it also kind of takes it went ahead and unclipped this top part, and this is a pretty standard move for Bumblebee figures as well. We can go ahead and maybe not fold that up just yet because we might need to move some other things out of the way. So we'll go ahead and fold these legs down here. And I think it's time to move these out of the way a little bit and deal with the legs. So what we're going to want to do is split them apart if they haven't already. We'll fold this part back, and that kind of brings this other part out. And this kind of double hinges around, and you just sort of straighten out the foot and rotate the back of the bug back around so that it kind of fills in that thigh. Now, there is a tab. There's a little black part here and a little tab there, and you kind of got to fit that in there. It's not the best fit. I don't think it's lined up 100%. You can kind of see it better here. You kind of got to move it off to the side a little bit. It does go in, and it's pretty important for the stability of the leg. There we go. And like I said, you just bring this part back around to fill in the leg, and then you do the same thing with the other leg. Go ahead and fold this back around, bring this down, and get that tabbed in. There we go. A little easier said than done, unfortunately. But there you go. You get that. You straighten out the foot, and yeah, it just came undone. Straighten out the foot, and he does have a little bit of an ankle rocker there. But I'm going to go ahead and straighten that out. It kind of came rocked as I was transforming it. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera angle. Alright, so again, like all Bumblebee movie figures, you go ahead and fold out these wheels so they sit kind of parallel to the door wings or whatever. Bring up his arms, if they're not locked in place by the doors. Clearances are a little tight. Go ahead and fold that out. And there we go. So now we can fold that more out. Just fold out the hands. And then what you're going to do is kind of rotate. Okay, I forgot one thing. We do want to rotate the waist here because the legs are actually reversed. It's one move that we don't normally see on these Bumblebee figures. Okay, so we'll go ahead and rotate the shoulder here. Rotate the other shoulder. And we'll bring down this back part. And then fold in that door. We'll see that from the back side here. Rotate that down, fold in the back part of the vehicle. Now this part here, we fold in the back, and then we fold it all up. It is kind of a tight fit to get all up in there, but it is supposed to get all the way up in there. My dogs are helping out with the review, as usual. And then we'll rotate the arms around. Rotate the arms around. Okay, so now this is another part here where it doesn't quite sit right because this part's still up here. So we do need to kind of work this around to where it gets down. It's kind of a tight fit. It almost doesn't fit folding up in there. Let's bring this part back down so it sits behind him, and then fold this up. Gets up in there, and there we go. So we've got it all in there. He's all set. And there is the Studio Series 24 Bumblebee. I think you can adjust these front parts of the Beetle as well. So there he is. It would be nice if we could have got the wings to fold back down, the doors. We call them wings because they kind of look like the wings, like the Seekers. It would have been nice if we could have got those to fold back down like we saw in the movie, in the trailers, to where because he doesn't really have that look in the Bumblebee movie. But I'm fine with it. It's okay. Now, as far as accessories go with this, he does have this little, I don't know if we can see, he's got this little blade here that he kind of wields. It just pegs on his arm. And it looks pretty good over there. He also does come with a blaster. If we can get to focus. Now, the way we do that, we've seen this before on the Studio Series Bumblebee. We don't pull off the hand, we pull it off at the elbow. And so you replace the arm with his little blaster arm. So now he's got his little blaster arm. It's not quite as big as we've seen in some of the movies, but I mean, it still gets the job done. And then he also has the battle mask faceplate. Now, the way that you do this is you actually pull off his face. Optimus Prime from Revenge of the Fallen would be proud because, you know, he's the guy that goes around saying, "Give me your face." And so that's kind of what Bumblebee has to do for you. Now, I found this was very difficult to get off, to put this battle mask on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I may have to cut this if I don't get this off as very easily. Okay, so yeah, chances are you're going to actually pop his head off because the front of the piece does actually form part of the... It does help hold it onto the ball peg. So pretty good chance that you're going to pop his head off. So if you're one of those people who like to decapitate your figures for pictures or whatever, this actually would work out pretty well for you. Okay, got it split apart. So now what you do is you take the part of the back of the head. Okay, so now the eyes actually do remain with the head, which is kind of funny. I'm not sure why they did that because it doesn't have any use in the battle mask. But anyway, you just kind of slide that on. So there we go, and we just pop this back on the ball joint on the head. And now we've got a fully battle-ready Studio Series Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee, with his blade, his blaster, and his battle mask. So that's really cool. It really is. And he does have a really nice, deep ankle rocker there, so you can get some pretty dynamic poses out of this guy. So yeah, I'm digging him. I think this is a very good representation of Bumblebee, and I will say that he is much more fun to transform than that masterpiece movie Bumblebee in the Volkswagen mode. 'Cause that one's kind of a nightmare. It can be done, but this one's far more fun. As you know, the simple toys tend to be a little bit more simpler transformation, and so they're more fun, right? Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and get him off to the side, and let's focus on Studio Series 25. This is the last night concept Camaro version of Bumblebee, but that doesn't want to focus. There we go. Sort of. There it is. Boy, gotta love that autofocus. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't recall getting a version of this in the last night. I think I meant the one that had that weird design that they chose for that, which was not your standard Bumblebee that has kind of like the car parts on the chest like we just saw on the other one. But this one does go back to the same with that. If you've got the Studio Series 1, you'll find that this transformation is awfully familiar. Because it uses essentially the same transformation, but it's not exactly the same figure, because you can see the size difference, if I can get them totally out there. Especially the wheelbase can give you a little bit of an idea. The Studio Series 25 is a little bit of a bigger figure than the Studio Series 1, even though they use very much the same transformation. So yeah, as usual, he opens his door, which takes part of the back of the car with him. And we can go ahead and open up the wheels in the front. We can pull out his arms and get them off to the side. We've been down this road before. We know pretty much how to transform most Bumblebee figures because they pretty much do the same routine up here in the front. And we'll go ahead and flip that part up because it's needed for robot mode. We can untab the top of the car, and it also kind of forms the center of the car here. So we'll go ahead and lift that up so that it's out of the way. Come back here to the legs, split them apart. Now they do tab in pretty well. And let's see, so what we want to do here is we'll untab the feet, and the side panels here kind of go up and rotate like that, both sides. And then what we want to do is we want to kind of go ahead and we fold these parts to the front, and then fold the back of the vehicle in, which then allows you to rotate the leg, the foot, and the rest of the leg down and around. Fold up the foot and slide it in so that it's nice and secure. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Fold that up, take the foot and the other part of the legs, swing it around, fold the foot up, slide it in, mostly slid in on its own. But there you go. So there's the back of the legs, there's the front of the legs. It's kind of sparse on the side, but you know, it works. It works. And then these, you can have them there, you can angle them a little bit however you choose. We don't have to do a waist spin on this figure. We just kind of stand them up. And so what we do is we take this whole section. In this case, it's all together. On the other one, it was two separate pieces. And then this gray part here does tab in on the underneath there. Boom. You can angle the front there. We fold down these little back flap things here. Fold up his top. First you fold in the back window, then you fold in the top, and then you fold everything up underneath, nice and compact like. And so that is a slight difference, because if you remember the Studio Series 1, the back window has actually remained part of the calves and wasn't actually in that. And also in Studio Series 1, that whole top part basically just fell off if you looked at it funny. This one is far more secure. So we just go ahead and clean up the arms, get them nice and straight. And here we go. We've got the out of frame Last Night inspired Bumblebee. And this guy looks pretty good. He's pretty solid. He too comes with a blaster, which involves removing an appendage. Now, in the case of the Studio Series 1 and the other Bumblebee, you just kind of popped it off. In this case, it's actually got a mushroom peg. So what you have to do is you actually take off the whole arm above the elbow joint, including the elbow joint. So we'll go ahead and get that and slide that back in. So now there is Bumblebee. He's all weaponed up and untabbed. And there you go. He is ready to go. Still not quite tabbed though. There we go. So there we have the Last Night Bumblebee. There we have the Bumblebee movie Bumblebee. And as you can see, he is a much larger bot for the Last Night version as he is in the Bumblebee movie. And that's true to the movies, because the Volkswagen Beetle was a smaller version of Bumblebee. If you've seen the trailers or if you've seen the movie, you can definitely tell he's a smaller robot than he is in the later movies when he's the Camaro. And that also makes sense too because of the vehicle modes, because the Beetle is a much smaller vehicle than the Last Night. So I do think this is actually pretty decent scale. And let me go ahead and transform the Studio Series 1, and we'll get him in here for a comparison so we can see the full evolution in robot mode. Okay, so here we are with the Studio Series 1 Bumblebee. We'll go ahead and get him in the proper order. So you can see that the evolution from the Bumblebee movie to the first Transformers movie to the Last Night, which was the last in chronological order, you can see that he does grow in each of these vehicles or robot modes. And I think that's actually very fitting, because as time has gone on, he has grown as a character, he has grown as a warrior, and in fact has taken on larger vehicle modes. So I think the fact that the robot mode actually does increase in size from beginning to end, and I think is actually very fitting. But definitely, so yeah, the Studio Series 1, everybody knows he's definitely got some quality control issues because he came apart in like 3 pieces when I tried to transform him, but they do all generally come back together, and he does make for a very nice looking robot and vehicle. But these two guys here, they're fantastic. There are no quality issues at all. In fact, the faceplate on the Bumblebee movie version is so tight that it's almost difficult to come off. But definitely good tolerances. They're nice and tight, very posable, and they've got a really nice look to them. And I think it's great. If you're a fan of Bumblebee, or if you're a fan of the movies and you want a nice 2-pack and you want 2 great figures, go check out your local Target. Look for the Studio Series 24, 25 Bumblebee set and pick them up. I highly recommend them if you're a fan of this type of figure and character. And I think that's all going to do it. I'm Engineer Hoist. Keep rolling, my friends. Thanks for watching.